Hi everyone, and this is Scientific Advancement, or How Humans Change the World. And this is the method, or the way that we change the world. In fact, we call it the scientific method. So, problem or solution? What am I saying here? Well, since man evolved on this planet, he has made many changes. Some of these changes are bad, and you talked about this in M2 with environmental science. But our ability to change the environment is what has made us the most successful species on the planet today. If we are, consider for a moment there are far more chickens than people, and far more bacteria than chickens. But chickens can't make machines and other complex designs like medicine or art, and all these things we make our lives very different to all the other animals, even the more social ones like the great apes. So you can see how our lives are different, and that's why we call ourselves successful. So we can change the world for good or for bad. But how do we do it? Let's start with a story. So once upon a time, maybe a caveman was walking along, and there's a tree and a rock, and he saw something unusual. He saw a coconut breaking on a rock. Then he could eat the coconut, and this gave him an idea. Coconut plus rock equals food. So after this, our caveman got excited and he thought about other ways for getting into coconuts more easily. He tried throwing coconuts on rocks, and he tried a bunch of other things, dropping them from cliffs, hitting them with bananas, hitting them with other rocks, hitting them with bigger rocks, and then finally hitting them with a rock while they were on another rock. That's an advanced class there. So all of these ideas actually worked for getting into a coconut. Well, except the banana one, but the caveman found that it worked best when you hit a coconut with a rock while it sat on another rock. So the caveman has found here his final successful design, and he decides that this is the best way to open a coconut with a rock. So he decided to show his friends. And of course, everyone was amazed by this new way that you could get food. So the caveman had discovered a simple hammer, and he had also understood a very simple scientific principle about how objects move. In this case, how heavy objects create a force. So how did he do it? What he used in his caveman brain is something that we still use today, and we call it the scientific method. The basic scientific method has been the same ever since those times back in the caves. It's how we make new discoveries and how we prove the discoveries we've already made. And this is the method. It's a 5-step plan. 1. Ask a question or make a hypothesis. A hypothesis is like a guess, and we'll talk about that more in a moment. 2. Do research. Find background information on the topic. What have people done before? 3. Design and do an experiment. You need to test and make a good test that will give you the answer to your question. 4. Look at the results, analyze your data. After you do your test, what is the result telling you? And finally, 5. Tell others your findings. Report the results. So After you've finished, you may find there is more follow-up work to be done. You may need to go back and fix problems, or you might have new questions that you did not have before. So this is all extra work, and this shows us that scientific method is not just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go to 1. So we'll go through each stage. And stage 1 is ask a question or make a hypothesis. So if you don't understand something, then the first thing you need to do is to find a way that you might understand it. And you can either ask a question, which you then try and answer, or make a hypothesis. What is a hypothesis? It's a working guess about a situation. So let's think about a school canteen. We can make this hypothesis. More people have fried rice in the canteen at lunchtime. That's a statement that more people eat one kind of food than any other. And this can be true or false. This can be right or wrong. But then we need to find a way to test the guess. So what about asking a question? The question asks for an unknown fact. For example, which meal do most people eat in the canteen at lunchtime? So we're just asking which of all the meals, which of all the different types of food are most people eating at lunchtime? And then we need to find a way to answer that question. So as you can see, they are both more or less the same thing, just in a slightly different way. So look at our caveman friend. What did he think to himself? How did that coconut break? There's a question that he might have asked himself on that first day. Or maybe he thought, the coconut broke because of the rock. That would be a hypothesis. So the second stage is to do research, find background information about your subject. You need to look at what is already known and possibly look at other people's work when you do this. If you don't do research, then you could end up reinventing the wheel, and you could work very, very hard and do something amazing, but you'll find that someone has already done it. We've already got wheels, they work very well. We don't need someone to design a new wheel. So for the caveman, research was easy. No one had done anything like this before. There wasn't any previous research. So all he did was look around him. But for modern scientists, there are thousands of reports and papers that they must read. And research is now a very difficult and very long part of the scientific process. So, looking at our caveman, as we said, it was pretty easy for him. He thought about simple facts that he already knows. The rock is hard. The coconut fell fast. The coconut hit the rock and the coconut broke. Those are his facts, his evidence. Then there's questions. Do hard things make coconuts break? Does the coconut need to be moving fast? Can I hit the coconut with anything? These are the follow-up questions which are suggested by the facts, the things that he might want to test to see if it is really true that rocks can break coconuts. Step 3 is design and do an experiment. So you have your questions, you have your research, now you can start to solve your hypothesis. You need to design the right sort of test, and when you've finished, your results should answer the question that you asked at the beginning. So again, this was very easy for the caveman because his experiments were very simple. And again, it's very difficult for today's scientists because now they are measuring very, very small or very, very big things. So you need a lot of technology in order to do that. So looking again at our caveman, very simple for him. I need to try big rocks and small rocks. I need to try rocks and bananas. I need to try dropping them from cliffs. I need to try putting them on other rocks. These are possible tests that he was thinking about doing or went on to do. And then afterwards you must look at the results. Analyze. At the end of the experiment, the result is called your data. And your data might be numbers or it could be written observations. Now you analyze your data and look at it and decide what it tells you. Again we say, for the caveman this was an easy answer. Does the coconut break? Yes or no? And there isn't really anything else that can happen. Maybe it can break a little bit, but generally it's yes or no. Today we have to measure data with powerful computers and thousands of numbers, but it's still at the end of the day about getting a yes or no answer. Did I see what I expected to see in my experiment? Yes or no? So for the caveman, he simply has to review what happened. I could open the coconut with rocks. I could not open the coconut with bananas. These are general observations in all cases. And then he thinks the easiest way to open the coconut was to put it on another rock first. So that is a specific observation, a specific detail that he noticed in one particular test. So tell others your findings, reporting back. This is important because you need to communicate with other people so other people know what you did. Doesn't matter if you found what you wanted to or not, you must report what you did so that others can use your data to make further experiments. And that way, if your experiment was good, then you can drive science forward with your discoveries and more people can go further with more discoveries. If your experiment was bad, then you can still report on where you went wrong and other people can learn from your mistakes. And remember, mistakes are a large part of almost anything that's really hard to do. So our caveman, as we saw before, went to his friends and said, check out what I can do with my nuts. So the caveman and the coconut was just the beginning of our story. Other people were making similar discoveries in exactly the same way, and they have been ever since. So maybe another caveman was climbing one day and he cut himself on a rock and realized that small rocks can be carried with you for cutting things, and he's now invented a knife. Maybe someone else took his knife and realized you can use a knife to skin an animal and make clothes and bags. So building on other people's work, they took the design and used it for something new. So every tiny thing we discover, every new way of doing things is in the end found because we've used some kind of scientific method. Sometimes more formal, sometimes less formal, but it's all the same method.